He's from New York?
The one that he stay in Tampa though?
I don't know. I thought he was up in New York. In
Utica.
Utica.
Yeah, but he from Tampa though. He like Hispanic?
I thought he was white, but...
No, I don't know that PJ. I know a different PJ. Listen, man.
Okay. My bad.
Listen, the PJ I know was in the game probably a couple months. He just got tired of the everybody getting confused. But you know, he's seen all the so-called black people hit his inbox. This shit drove him crazy. He was already rich.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. We're talking about different
man,
dudes,
look,
I guess.
Dude already. Man, he had private jets, all that shit.
Oh, wow.
His name was, he went by PJ, but his name was Peter Lito.
Okay. I ain't going.
Not ready.
Yeah, man. Today I'm going to touch over some of the basics again and try to,
well, today felt like Sunday,
so
keep building with
it.
I hope the weather would be nice.
I hear you. That's all we can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little by little. That's how they build the houses. You know what I mean? Little brick by brick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Also, you know something, I only went to one football and otherwise.
I'm gonna figure out how to get the questions and answers going on too.
Exercise and
you ain't talking, please mute.
Change my clothes and what's up.
I don't know if I can get there. So I'm rocking with the app like that.
Yeah, you muted everybody last night.
Yeah, I just know how to do election mode. But like, I appreciate everybody that joined. We had over 88 people join on the call, and over 112 people signed up for the actual class.
Nice.
Yeah, I appreciate the love. I try to make sure everybody got the invite to the Google Drive files, and I'm gonna do it again. If you don't have it, just shoot me an email. Wherever you got this email to access this class, just respond to that.
Okay.
If you don't get access to the classes, so I can just copy and paste your email.
Yep, right. Makes it easy.
Yeah, keep it rolling, man. But I know some people, I feel like, listen, no disrespecting anybody out there, but some people be feeling like they got this shit down pat. And like, dude, I just talked to somebody on the phone. He was just trying to tell me his life story. And I already know he did a lot of shit wrong. When you talking about the UCC1, because that's not how I comprehend the UCC1. I need everybody to understand that. I comprehend the UCC1 as you doing it from a company standpoint.
Right.
Your company is always going to be a pass-through entity.
Right.
And I want people to understand that your name is a business, so you can learn that you work for the business just like you would work for Walmart or McDonald's or something.
Yep. I'm in Delaware, so that we're the incorporation capital of the world. So.
Oh yeah, Delaware, the truth, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I overstand. I'm gonna go over some of that today. In the, when you do your name, Delaware is one of those states where you can remain anonymous. You don't have to.
You don't have to divulge much.
Show. If you change officers, you don't have to show nothing to the state.
Nope. That's how we got all the business. All the business because our rules are very lax here because we wanted all that business. You know what I mean? That's why Joe Biden's so dirty because he's let all the big companies do whatever they want over here, and now he owes everybody.
A few other states like that is going to be
Nevada,
Wyoming, North Dakota.
Yep.
South Dakota. That's why a lot of, like, Wells Fargo is in South Dakota. A lot of these banks are in South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
Due to their trust laws and their corporation laws.
Yep. Court of Chancery.
But, yeah, so, if you was in debt and somebody would put a lien against all your property, if you utilizing through an LLC, they couldn't put a charging order on you. You could get paid through your LLC all day.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize this, man.
What I know about,
I feel like a lot of so-called gurus know a little bit of this shit, man. So I feel like you shouldn't be paying for nothing if it's not teaching you how to make money.
Right.
Make money and then create assets and then protect those assets.
Yep.
An asset is always something that's going to create a revenue source for you.
Right. Produce for you. Right.
Yeah. Produce. Yes, sir. I don't see people starting to join. I'm going to put a link in the chat if y'all are joining the chat.
There it is.
Files right there.
There it is.
I'm not going to go over all of these tonight. But I included all types of different versions of what I comprehend status to be.
Those Carson in the house.
Love, here's some love. State your appellation. That's what it should say. I'm trying to put the files in, but it's acting slow. Happy holiday, everybody out there that celebrates it. Every day is the same to me, though. It's like Groundhog Day. It did. Listen. The more people I help, the more people come. You hear me? It's serious shit. Listen, there is enough people out here to help. It's endless. So I don't know why people be trying to withhold everything. It's not letting me put the files in there right now. I don't know why. I keep saying working on it.
What are you serving?
Oh, these are totally different documents.
Yeah, these are just different forms of status correction. You know, I'm going to go over, the first one I'm going to go over is the Affidavit of Revocation and Rescission. And this is going to be the one for the IRS.
Yeah, I know about rescission. Go ahead.
Yeah, so these are just like, once you got something on the record or something, man, these are just like different ones to split up.
You should put in the other earbud and listen. Very informative.
Right. Let's move these files somewhere else.
Can't hear anything. Oh, okay, now I can.
Hey everybody, if you're not talking and if you can please mute your phones, that'd be great. Thanks.
Peace and love, Russ. Peace and love.
Quinn. Yeah.
I forgot it this time.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Main file. Alright, so if you're joining me online, I'm putting some files in, and then I will also put the link in. And after class, this will be, I'm about to start screen sharing after class, this will be in there as well. I'll put a few books in there. There's a lot of stuff I'm not going to go over too. That's just some stuff to get reviewed, man. I just want to make sure y'all get y'all bloody start. You hear me? Because I promise you, man, I give y'all that dope. I know what I be giving y'all. Once fire. But it's just up. Once you start gaining clarity, that's when you can go to the moon and back. You feel me? Read what y'all put in the chat real quick. Peace and love, Mark. Gregory, tell us if you're down what you have the courage and insight to take this knowledge to the people. Peace and love. Peace and love and love. Alright, we got more people joining in. Peace and love, everybody. Alright, I'm gonna start muting people, man. Put in election mode. Yeah, that might be bugging me sometimes too. So if you're following along in the chat, let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that you can see my screen. If we can hear you and see the screen, I appreciate you. All right. Now, I do got some people love kid. I call somebody though, like just keep it short and sweet, man. Talk about the money. I don't care about your story, bro. I don't care about your problems. Look, I need y'all to understand. Listen, everybody has problems, no matter who you are in life. I don't care if you're poor or rich. You got problems, right? Whether you got money or no money. If you're running a business, you're gonna have different problems than other people. So you gotta understand. Listen, when you're talking about your issues, unless we work something out, then I'm gonna talk, or we're gonna work through your problems together. I don't bring up your problems to me because I don't care. That's not it. When you meet somebody new or you talk to somebody new, especially on the phone, you finally get a chance to talk to them. You're not just gonna start spilling out your issues. Listen, hold up, bro. Hold on, I don't even know you yet. No, we don't even have no business arrangements. No. So I'm gonna put that out there. Now, the first document that I'm going to go over is the Affidavit of Revocation and Rescission. You know, I'm not a licensed attorney or tax expert. I do this for educational and informational purposes only. I just need y'all to understand the importance of just changing your legal status, okay? Changing your legal status for practical measures, all right? Living a private life. And when you say living, that's an action word. So you have to live out the private life. You have to live out the private life. I need y'all to understand that, okay? So living is an action. And it starts with your thoughts. Your thoughts are going to control your actions too. your thoughts and beliefs. Follow me? So, what one must understand, if you could be spiritual or religious when dealing with this, okay? And either way, it's going to help you, all right? Either way, you got to have as long as you have a spiritual relationship with your higher power or a religious relationship, because over here in America, all their I want to say their authority and power derives from the Bible, because Congress declared the Bible the Word of God, okay? That's why the Bible is a fact in the courtroom, okay? But listen, I'm not trying to knock anybody's way of life or thinking or anything, but check this out. All God is a made-up concept by man. The comprehension of God is just a made-up concept by man. So you can ordain whoever God is or what God is in your life. So it's based on your definition. Follow me? Now, there's a private and a public side. So a lot of people talk about this private life, living a private life, private life, private life. Listen, if you don't know how to operate in the public, your peace in the public, you're not going to be able to operate in the private as well, because you acquire the things, what they see in the public, they're going off public's definitions, you know? You got to learn how to operate in the public, which would be the darkness, and then the private, well, the private is truly the darkness and the public is the light, but what's done in the darkness is what comes out the light, all right? But everything you see is not really what it is. So that's what I need you to truly understand. So, the first contract that they say that you have is really considered a covenant. A covenant, okay? A covenant. You have a covenant with your higher power to let your true light purpose. We say again, you have a covenant with your higher power to let your true light purpose. And you need to understand and understand this. And when you understand and understand this, this will help you with your status correction. Follow me. This helps with your status correction. Because it's one thing to file all this paperwork, right? But truthfully, if you know how to operate, you have the thinking, and then the know-how, and then you can demonstrate how you're operating in a secure capacity, all right? In your private capacity as a national or American national or more, whatever it is that you're operating as, then you'll learn how to enforce the paperwork, okay? So first, I need y'all to learn how to act. So, because all these are tools, okay? All this is tools. There's something called silent judicial notice. So when you present a document, the judge only takes silent judicial notice, especially if you don't know how to operate and enforce them with actions, because paperwork is just paperwork. I need you to understand that. Paperwork is just paperwork. So the birds, if you're in this class right now, but I'm gonna touch on some people because there's still the basics. You understand that the birth certificate is evidence of a bond. And as class goes on, I'm going to go over bonds too, and corporate bonds. This is why it's important to understand that your name is a business, the sole proprietorship. We went over this yesterday in the basic class. With the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, okay? You got the IRS, we got the Internal Revenue Service. I need you to understand that the Internal Revenue Service is a service to collect for the Federal Reserve. They're there to collect for the Federal Reserve. And people think that the taxes are going to so many things. Taxes go to the IMF, not states, and not to the public, okay? Taxes go to the International Monetary Fund, not the states, not the public. Understand this. Understand who the Secretary of Treasury is, okay? The Secretary of Treasury of Puerto Rico, okay? Secretary of Treasury is ran by Puerto Rico Treasury, all right? And then Puerto Rico is a territory managed by the United States Corporation in D.C., Washington, D.C. The United States is a corporation. So, when there's so many different aspects that's going on, right? So many aspects that's going on when you enter into these agreements, right? So, the birth certificate, the reason why, when you understand the terms of ships and merchants and all this, right? The birth certificate, this helps make your sole proprietorship an agreement that you are a charter member. A charter member that has nothing to do with the government. You are in commerce and wrapped up at the beginning when you utilize these contracts. Understand that. So, but the public, the private and the public, right? So, in the private, this is when they, you know, God created you, your mom gave you the, she was compelled by God to give you the name that He gave you. It's not in all capitalized letters, right? And God gives you dominion over the earth. This is important to know. God gives you dominion over the whole earth. And to be abundant based on the covenants with your God, which is your higher power, your contract with your God, right? This includes all your God-given rights, your natural rights, your freedom to travel, your right to be left alone, your right to self-defense, your right to the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. Then here comes man, right? Man. Man creates the state government to regulate affairs and to serve man. The states created the government to serve the needs of the states, all right? The administrative agencies were created to help the federal and state governments to administer to their affairs. So the government creates this all-capitalized corporation name, the sole proprietorship of your name. And now the federal government has dominion over the state governments and your name. Especially when you get the the Social Security, all right? Social Security trust. Sign up for this. Now, the federal administrative agencies have dominion over your all-capitalized name. And as soon as you identify as being that name, and thus this means you no longer have dominion over the earth, and you no longer have dominion over yourself, your house, your land, or even your kids. Let me know that this makes sense. Let me know that this makes sense, because like I said, tonight is the advanced status correction class. Follow me? So this should be making sense, but we have people still, new to this. Now, if the people that's watching that's not going to be, Nicole says it makes sense, Private Equity says it makes sense, Bear Game Tabernacle says it makes sense, Kim says it makes sense. Now, everybody out there, you already know what to do to drop a donation. Russ says it makes sense, 100%, if you're not in this class. Gregory Taylor says it makes sense. Otter says this is because we agreed to the fiction. Yes. Victor says it makes sense. Michael says it makes sense all day. Yeah, I just got to make sure y'all following along. Bell Taylor. So, I got to break down a little history before we get into these documents. Now, look. So, when you start understanding contract law and trust law, all right, and then you got to start learning how to operate and act out these things, right? So, I'm going to get focused on the action first, right, before we get to the paperwork. Because if you can act this stuff out, Jesus didn't need no paperwork, you follow me? Malcolm X didn't need no paperwork, you follow me? There's a lot of different things. A lot of people don't realize or understand and understand, all right? So, when you sign up with the birth certificate and the Social Security trust, this makes you a beneficiary, right? Now, they converted everything federal, so here is your federal benefits. For the birth certificate of your name, this makes you the beneficiary. You have the beneficial certificate, right? The Social Security, this application has admissions and confessions, all right? So these are all federal benefits. The birth certificate, the Social Security, the Federal Reserve notes. These are a privilege of discharging debts and not paying for it. So these are notes. These are like trust certificate units from the United States Constitution Trust of the United States Corporation. Follow me? It's just like a gift certificate for their corporation. If you work for corporate employment, you're employed by one of these corporations, then this is a form of status. Okay, this is how they get you under their status, because you're following, you're compelled, you're doing their things of their benefits. You're using their benefits. All right, you're using things that are beneficial to you from your corporation. All right, now that's the birth certificate. Use it as identification. That makes you a citizen of their game or an employee of their corporation, right? You're their property now. The Social Security card, you're their property now. Federal Reserve notes. Only slaves use Federal Reserve notes. You follow me? All right? Only slaves use Federal Reserve notes. A lot of people don't understand this, man. You use them every day, you're considered a tax expert. Corporate employment, only slaves. EINs are the masters, okay? So the social works for the slaves. So if you're peace and love, OG, Faraji OG. So if you're corporate employment, you're a slave, man. You're working on a plantation, right? Being a res or resident, this makes you property. Res, it means the thing or the thing. Resident, that means your property. You have a bank account. Sorry to tell you, man. If you have a bank account, it's not in a trust. You made them trustee, and now your shit is FDIC insured, okay? Federally insured. Now they can stake claim to your money, okay? Whatever you have in it. Insurance contracts, that's with any contract, man. With any contract that's out there. It's owned by the feds. It's all insured by the feds, right? Same way with the driver's license and the marriage certificate. When you get married, you're given stake. If you're using a marriage certificate, you're giving the state the same amount of interest in your marriage as husband and wife. You got married. You made them a party to your marriage. All right? So a product of your marriage. So if you look on back of some marriage certificates, it says the products. This is a product of the state or whatever. Product of a marriage is your children, okay? Children mean property of a corporation. The parent is the parent who rents. So product of a marriage is children, and that belongs to the state. The state gets the same rights in the marriage, all right, when you get married with a marriage certificate. This confers the rights to benefits, and it's a violation of your covenant with God. Anytime you violate your covenant with God, then they can intervene. You follow me? That makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Now, I'm going to break this down real quick. This does tie in with status correction because you do have a Federal Reserve bank account, right, with the Social Security card. But they own it, not you. But you can utilize the back of the number, all right, the back of the number on the Social Security card, that's the execution number. That's what's tied directly to your bond, okay? That's what's tied directly to your bond. And we're going to go over bonds later on in this, later on in a few weeks. But yeah, so your bank account, the feds own it because it's federally insured, all right? It's federally insured. Now, a lot of people, when you apply for a Social Security card, this is when they take the investment. You invest every month in this trust, right? Or you invest every time you get paid with your check, your gift and proceeds from your labor to this trust. You're becoming an investor in hopes for dividends when you retire. I need you to know that. So the IRS is a private trust and is domiciled in Puerto Rico. In 1953, the Attorney Revenue Service was created by the stroke of a pen when the Secretary of the Treasury changed the name of the Bureau of Internal Revenue. This is TO number 150-29 GM Humphrey, Secretary of the Treasury, July 9, 1953. However, no congressional or presidential authorization for making this change has been located, so the source of authority had to originate somewhere else. Research to which IRS officials have acquiesced suggests that the Secretary exercises authority as trustee of the Puerto Rico Trust number 62, Internal Revenue, see 31 U.S.C. 1321, and as will be demonstrated, the Secretary does in fact operate as the Secretary of Treasury in Puerto Rico. Secretary of the Treasury of Puerto Rico is a territory managed by the United States Corporation in D.C. IMF pays the Secretary of Treasury. The International Monetary Fund pays the Secretary of Treasury. So the Secretary of Treasury is paid by a foreign interest. You need to know this. The tax dollars do not go to schools, bridges, roads, courts, military, or etc. Nothing goes to benefit the people. It goes to the private trust for the IMF. And then this trust fund goes to the Queen of England and the Vatican. Always know that fraud vitiates all contracts. That's the United States Supreme Court ruling that stood the test of time. So if you can always find fraud, discover the fraud. But no, while I'm saying demonstrate, learn how to demonstrate this, is because it's called substance over form. Behavior must match the assertions. Substance over form. Substance over form. For the mortar to form, it must match the bricks. So your behavior must match the documents. So when they question you, you can't tell them you have a job. You can't say you have zip codes, etc. Substance over form. You must be practical, and truly paperwork isn't needed if you know how to operate and move and think correctly in commerce, right? You should live as if your status is already corrected before you even pursue these documents. You should act as if you're doing these things first. So do know this, okay? If you're considered a resident, you're a slave to that state, okay? If you're considered a resident, you're a slave to that state. There's always silent judicial notice. They can't tell you where you're operating wrong at. You got to know that. Understand that the status of a person is the legal position or condition. Thus, when we say that the status of a woman after decree for the dissolution of the marriage with a husband has been made, but before it has been absolute, it is that of a married woman. We mean that she has the same legal rights, liabilities, and disabilities as an ordinary married woman. So married woman is a status, single woman is a status. All right, they all have different terms. Other examples of status are citizen, U.S. citizen, resident, state citizen, American national, non-resident foreign national, foreign resident, nationalized citizen, a tourist, a secured creditor, single, married, white, black, Negro. You know, these are all statuses. Indians, you're from India if you're an Indian, all right? This is how they look at you. So, in order to have true status, political status, this is going to make it where you have proper standing, where corporations can hear you, okay? Where corporations can hear you. And corporations is, and when we say corporations, it's going to be their agency, all right? Their agency. It's called agency on the record for their rules. It's their agency. You have to get their agency to understand you. You have an interest in their agency. And they always have to deal with you if you're the power of attorney in fact or the general power of attorney in fact. So you need to understand this. Because the republic form of government has been privatized. This is called denationalization. The government has been denationalized and has been privatized. All right, and this has been evidenced with the ACR 192. Your equity has been released from the obligation to pay in debt in exchange for the privilege of discharge of liability via ACR 192. You are the original grantor, issuer of the credit, owner, and beneficiary. Derivatives have been created via the bonds being traded in your name or your number. A constructive trust is created when these bonds are created. You never addressed the issue as beneficiary or made any claim, so it was deemed abandoned. Therefore, you are deemed incompetent and your office is vacant. So the estate is administered for you and you are held liable as the trustee and surety agent. You are appointed trustee, the person responsible, the debtor. And this is what's happened with the government. All the offices are now vacant because they have left the field. Everything has been privatized. Everything's the law of the flag, too, so understand that, man. So always make sure you're rocking the right flag, all right? Someone said the Internal Revenue Service is incorporated in Delaware. I don't know about that. Everybody's still hitting me up saying it makes sense, too. Much peace and love. So, the Affidavit of Revocation and Rescission. You can make up your own flag, but we always come in peace. We always come in peace. Now, the Affidavit of Revocation and Rescission. Now, I've had a lot of people hit me up. So, someone says, this is like voluntary and mandatory hocus pocus shit in plain sight. The documentation. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Don, for bringing this to the light. So, I'm going to bring this up. I bring this up every class. I need it to make sense. USC 3002, right? Then follow me. You understand this right here. Section 2. All courts are tax courts, and all debts are amount owed to the United States. And then the United States is a federal corporation. We never say we're a person either, all right? That's why. Corporation. So, when you understand and understand this, look. If somebody says I owe them something and I don't pay them, if the corporation says I owe them something and I don't pay them, they're going to take me to court, right? They're going to take me to court. Because it's a tax issue. So with that being said, you have to assess the tax always with dealing with these people. But the first people you want to definitely put on the record is going to be the IRS, all right? Now, depending on your location, the people we put on, we do it in Ogden, Utah. We do it in Covington. We do it in Kansas City, Memphis, Tennessee. There's a few different locations, right? Now you need to understand it's your signature that gives you all the power and grants the access. It's your signature, all right? Your signature represents your spirit, represents your soul, represents your very essence of who you are. You know, people's signatures still get paid after the, you know, it's worth money after the death. You feel me? So it says, I, then you sign it and copyright your signature. Being duly sworn and affixing my signature to this document, do hereby make the following statement of fact and affirm that I was unaware that a completed, signed, and submitted 1040 form or income tax return and a W-4 employee's withholding allowance certificate, the authorization document that allows an employee to withhold a worker's compensation for labor from his pay, are voluntary executed instruments which could be used as prima facie evidence against me in criminal trials and civil proceedings to show that I had voluntarily waived my constitutionally secured rights and I had voluntarily subjected myself to the federal income excise tax, to the provisions of the Internal Revenue Code, and to the authority of the Internal Revenue Service, herein referred to as the IRS, by signing and thereby affirming under penalty of perjury that I was in fact a person subject to the tax, that I was unaware of the legal effects of signing and filing an income tax return as shown by the decision of the United States Court of Appeals by the Ninth Circuit in the 1974 ruling in the case of Morse versus U.S., wherein the court explained how a citizen became a taxpayer by stating accordingly, when returns were filed in Mrs. Morse's name, declaring income to her for 1944 and 1945, and making her potentially liable for the tax due in that income, she became a taxpayer within the meaning of the Internal Revenue Code. You fall under jurisdictions due to code, so you have to make sure you got the proper codes and statutes that show that you're free as well. I need you to understand this. You're not a person. You never claimed to be. Yes, you're outside the United States. You're near the United States, but you're not in it. All right? I was unaware that signing and filing of an income tax return and other IRS forms or acts are voluntary compliance for a free, sovereign, individual citizen. Now, if you want to put more into the sovereign, that's fine. You can put national, whatever status you want to proclaim and you understand it, that's fine. That I was unaware that in a court of law, the completed IRS documents can become prima facie evidence. Sufficient is to sustain a legal conclusion. Somebody sent me something and said by proof that the IRS is in Delaware. We understand that due to the laws, right? The incorporation laws. I was unaware that in a court of law, and it's important to know court of law, this right here, court of law means without, court of law, anytime you see it means color law. Unaware that in the court of law, the completed IRS documents can become prima facie evidence sufficient to sustain a legal conclusion by a judge that the signer has voluntarily changed his legal status from that of a free sovereign individual citizen who is not subject to any federal tax and who possesses all of his God-given constitutionally secured rights when dealing with government to the legal status of a taxpayer. Any individual, trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation subject to a federal excise tax. A person who was subject to a federal excise tax and is therefore subject to authority, jurisdiction, and control of the federal government under Title 26 of the United States Code. Even though that title has never been enacted into positive law, the statutes govern federal taxation and to the regulations of the IRS, thereby imposing the tax on himself and waiving his God-given constitutionally secured rights in respect to the federal income excise tax statutes and their administration by the IRS, and establishing himself as one who has privilege only with no rights in dealing with the IRS, the same as a corporation. That is my understanding that the change of status resulting from the signed IRS documents is very similar to the change of status that occurs when one enlists in the military service and voluntarily takes an oath that subjects him to the authority, jurisdiction, and control of federal government under Title 10 of the United States Codes, the statutes governing the armed forces and the regulations of the militia service, thereby waiving his constitutional rights in relation to dealings with the military services. I don't know if you just heard what I just said. When you're operating with these people, they're saying you're a military service. Part of a military service. That I am a natural born, free, sovereign United States of America, a free woman or man, and I'm endowed by my Creator with numerous inalienable rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which rights are specifically identified in the Declaration of Independence protected by the United States Constitution, that my birthright to pursuit of happiness has been interpreted by both the framers of the Constitution and the U.S. Supreme Court as including my inalienable right to contract, to acquire, to deal in, to sell, rent, and exchange properties of various kinds, real and personal, without requesting or exercising any privilege or franchise from government, that I have learned that these inalienable property rights also include my right to contract for the exchange of my labor property for other properties, such as wages, salary, and other earnings, that I have knowingly or intentionally waived any of these inalienable rights. I understand that if the exercise of rights was subjected to taxation, the rights could be destroyed by increasing the tax rates to unaffordable levels. Therefore, courts have repeatedly ruled that government has no power to tax the exercise of any rights of citizens, as shown by the United States Supreme Court in the case of Murdoch versus Pena. A state may not impose the charge for the enjoyment of a right granted by the federal Constitution. That for years past, I have been influenced by numerous and repeated public warnings made by the IRS via radio, television, printed press, and other public communication medias, warning of the deadline for filing a Form 1040 income tax return and or other IRS filings and documents. That in addition to the aforesaid warnings, I have also been influenced by misleading and deceptive wording of IRS publications, IRS-generated news articles, the pressure of widespread rumors and misinformed public opinion, and the advice and assurance of lawyers, CPAs, and income tax preparers, which misled me to incorrectly believe that the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution authorized Congress to impose a direct tax on me, my property, my exchanges of property, and or property received as a result of exercising my constitutionally secured right to contract. That I was further misled into believing I had legal duty and obligations to file a Form 1040 income tax return, a Form W-4 employees withholding allowance certificate, other IRS forms and documents. There have also been further influenced, misled, and alarmed by numerous misinformed public opinion and the advice and assurance of lawyers, CPAs, and income tax preparers to the effect that the IRS would get you and that it would be a crime punishable by fine and or imprisonment if I did not fill out, sign, and file with the IRS a Form 1040. This is making sense. Let me know that it's making sense. Put it's making sense in the comment box below. Now, I'm not talking to my class members because you wouldn't be here if you didn't drop a donation. After watching out there in the YouTube world, social media world, Instagram world, Facebook world, wherever you may be at home, listen, leave a donation. SecuredPartyCredit on the Cash App. Go to MalikKalam.com/donate. There's many ways to drop a donation. We even accept cryptocurrency on MalikKalam.com. You feel me? You got cryptocurrency. And and we're going to be accepting donations via cryptocurrency as well. We got everybody saying it's making sense. We got private equity still rocking with us, man. Havel's rocking with us, man. Nicole's rocking with us, says it's making sense. Kim says it's making sense. Russ says it's making sense. Gregor says it's making sense. Kenny says it's definitely making sense, he said, man. Gregor says, part of my interest, but is there a difference between the federal constitution and the U.S. Constitution? That is a good question. It's basically the same as about both, man. But you need to go back, man. The federal constitution does not incorporate the Bill of Rights. That's to my understanding. But we can Google this real quick, right? What's the difference? Because the Constitution is the foundation of our federal government. So that's what this is saying, man. But I incorporate the Bill of Rights, Articles of Incorporation. Victor says it's making sense. Everybody says it's making sense. That's a good question right there. But we know that the state constitution is different. It says more detail. Now, in addition to all the reasons stated in the paragraphs, I was influenced by the common and widespread practice of employers who either knowingly or unknowingly misled their employees to believe that they are all subject to withholding their income taxes from their earnings, either with or without the permission, based upon the employer's possible mistaken assumption that they, as employers, are required by law to withhold income tax from the paychecks of their employers. I have also been influenced and impressed by the IRS annual public display and indiscriminate offerings of large quantities of the Form 1040 in banks, post offices, and through the U.S. mail, which also remind me of and induced me to respond by filing out, signing, and sending the IRS a Form 1040. That said, Form 1040 contains no reference to any law or laws which would explain just exactly who is or is not subject to or liable for the income tax, nor did it contain any notice or warning to anyone that merely sending said completed Form 1040 to the IRS would waive my right to privacy secured by the Fourth Amendment and my right to not having to be a witness against myself secured by the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution. I'm going to repeat that again because I don't know if y'all follow that. I'm going to highlight it for you in class. For my classmates, people follow along in class. Look at this. Form 1040 to the IRS would waive my right to privacy secured by the Fourth Amendment and my right to not having to be a witness against myself secured by the Fifth Amendment. So when they ask you your name, you don't have to tell them shit. You don't have to be a witness against yourself. Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution. And that the Form 1040 would in itself constitute legal evidence admissible in a court of law. Okay? That the filer is subject to and liable for the income excise, okay, the excise tax, even though and regardless of the fact that I, as a free individual, am actually and legally not subject to or liable for any income tax, have no legal duty or obligation whatsoever to complete and file a 1040 form. There at no time was I ever notified or informed by the IRS, by any of its agents or employees, nor by any lawyer, CPA, or tax preparer of the fact that the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution, as correctly interpreted by the U.S. Supreme Court, is such cases as Brusheber versus Union Pacific Railroad Company and Stanton versus Baltic Mining Company, identified the income tax as an indirect excise tax in accordance with Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 of the United States Constitution, and that the 16th Amendment does not authorize a tax on individuals, the men and women of these United States of America. Check that out. That's enough evidence right there. Anybody. Let that sink in. Because they need this demonstration. You're in the class, so you will get this demonstration. Again, I will put the link. If you're in the chat, I will send this to everybody. If you got access, if you didn't get access, respond to the email you got for the class. He's like, hey, I need access to the files. You'll get this, all right? But there's a link. I already put the files in the chat, but there's a link to all the files for everybody in the class, right? If you want to join these classes right now, it's $100. You go to MalikKalam.com, or you can send the $100 via Cash App to Secured Party Credit, all right? Secured Party Credit, S-E-C-U-R-E-D, Party, P-A-R-T-Y, Credit, C-R-E-D-I-T. So, that's it. Like this is all you would need truly right here is what's highlighted. That no time was I ever notified or informed by the IRS by any of its agents or employers, nor by any lawyer, CPA, or tax preparer of the fact that the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution, as correctly interpreted by the U.S. Supreme Court in such cases as, I want to say, Grusheber versus Union Pacific Railroad Company, in this 1916, and Stanton versus Baltic Mining Company, all right, 1916, identified the income tax as an indirect excise tax in accordance with Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 of the United States Constitution, and that the 16th Amendment does not authorize a tax on individuals, the men and women of the United States of America. That no time was I notified or informed by the IRS, its agents, or employees, nor by any lawyer, CPA, or tax preparer of the fact that because of various rulings of the U.S. Supreme Court in such cases as Flint versus Stone Tracy Company and Pollock versus Farmers Loan and Trust Company, the indirect excise tax on incomes identified by the 16th Amendment is actually a tax upon corporations. Privileges granted by government and measured by the amount of corporate income. See Corporation Tax Act statutes at large. That this excise tax is also imposed on amounts of money received by non-resident aliens, individuals, and foreign corporations. That my attention has been called to report number 80-19A titled Some Constitutional Questions Regarding the Federal Income Tax Laws, published by the American Law Division of the Congressional Research Service of the Library of Congress, updated January 17, 1980, that this publication described the tax on income identified by the 16th Amendment of the United States Constitution as an indirect excise tax. That this report stated the Supreme Court, in a decision written by Chief Justice White, first notes that the 16th Amendment did not authorize any new type of tax, nor did it repeal, revoke the tax clauses of Article 1 of the United States Constitution. Quote above, and further stated, therefore, it can clearly be determined from the decision of the United States Supreme Court that the income tax is an indirect tax, generally in the nature of an excise tax, thus proving in my mind that the income tax is not a tax on me as an individual, man or woman, but is rather a tax as described by the U.S. Supreme Court in Flint versus Stone Tracy Company, wherein the court defined excess taxes as taxes laid upon manufactured, sale, consumption of commodities within the country upon licenses to pursue certain occupations and upon corporate privileges, none of which classifications apply to me, a natural man or woman. And a lot of people don't understand. It was given to me. Now, if you follow along on, see, I'm live on the Instagram. Instagram is John_Kalam. It's about to end. I will be uploading this on the YouTube. Just look up John Kalam, man. If you want the screen shares, you join the class. You join the class on MalikKalam.com or send $100 and just put your email address, your classes. SecuredPartyCredit on the Cash App. Much peace and love. Much peace and love. Now, a lot of people don't understand that the Boston Tea Party, right? They say was based on weed, man. They say it was based on weed. I don't know how true that is. They say it was based on weed. Now, I was unaware of the truth of the IRS rarely publicized statements that the income tax system is based upon voluntary compliance with the law and self-assessment of tax. It has never been my intention or desire to voluntarily self-assess and excise tax upon myself. They have always thought that compliance was required by law. And that's what most people think. Truthfully. I have examined sections 6001, 6011, 6012, 7203, and 7205 of the Internal Revenue Code, Title 26 USC, and I'm convinced and satisfied that I am not now and never was any such person or individual referred to by these sections. I'm going to say it again. 26 USC, 6001, 6011, 6012, 7,203 and 7,205 of the Internal Revenue Codes. I'm convinced and satisfied that I'm not now and never was any such person or individual referred to by these sections. Never claimed to be a person. Private equity says the IRS office in my state is called the Voluntary Assessment Center. That's a good name for it. After careful study of the Internal Revenue Code and consultation on the provisions of the code with lawyers, tax accountants, and tax preparers, I have never found or been shown any section of the Internal Revenue Code that imposed any requirements on me as a free, sovereign, unprivileged individual to file a Form 1040 income tax return, or that imposed a requirement upon me to pay a tax on income, or that would classify me as a person liable, a person made liable, or a taxpayer, as the term taxpayer is defined in 26 U.S.C. 7701, subsection A14, which states the term taxpayer means I and any person subject to any internal revenue tax. That after the study and consultations mentioned in paragraph 17, the only mention of any possible requirements upon me as an individual to pay a tax on income that I could find or was shown in 26 U.S.C. was the title of Part 1 under Subtitle A, Chapter 1, Subchapter A, which is deceptively titled Tax on Individuals. That a careful study and examination of this part of the code showed no provision in the body of the statutes imposing any liability or requirement upon me as an individual for payment of the federal excise tax on income. That my study and constitution mentioned in paragraph 18 show that the law is determined by the actual wording contained in the body of the statute and not by the title, that the title of the statute is merely a general guide to the contents of the statute. The title has no force or effect at law. I appreciate you, Victor. I got people sending donations, so I know we're not doing a live right now, so I appreciate you, King. That after study and consultation mentioned in paragraph 17 once again, my attention was called to the Internal Revenue Code, Title 21, Federal Insurance Contribution Act, the Social Security, Chapter A of Chapter 21, titled Tax on Employees, which includes 3101, wherein the Social Security tax is identified as a tax on income, not as an insurance contribution, and not as a tax on employees. I think y'all got the hint, though. It goes on and on. I don't want to keep reading this, man. There's 6 pages, all right? 6 pages, all right? That's a status correction, dealing with the tax first. Let's start with the tax first, okay? For a whole hour. Now, the next one I want to go on with Let's see. Let's see what we got here. You know, you can include this with any tax issues with the IRS too. W-8 bin. Let's go to the W-8 bin. This is a form of status correction as well. I would also attach a W-8 bin. Which is W-8 bin? So this is the affidavit for the W-8 bin. The actual W-8 bin is going to look like, let's see here. Let's grab it. Let's grab it. Where's the W-8 bin? I'll do a Google search if I didn't put it in here for y'all. So I could have swore I put the template in here. So, I don't see it. I did put it on with the documents from yesterday. So, let me pull them up. Let me just add it. Let me add it on here too. W-8. There's a template. Going right here. So it's this simple right here. This is the W-8. All right. Now, as you look closer, you're seeing it put zip exempt, non-domestic inhabitant. So you're not a resident, right? You got the dash and the semicolons in the name, right? Then they put U.S. national right here, national U.S. All right. You can put state national too. You can put your state, Missouri national, California national, Delaware national, Republican, however you want to do your status. Okay. Make sure it's foreign, right? Now, this is the affidavit. A lot of people want to, like I had somebody in the chat yesterday talk about they went and take their stuff. Did you give them directions on what to do? You got to make sure you include affidavits and instructions. If you don't know the law, then you can't tell them what to do. You got to learn how to not only know what's going on paperwork, but learn how to demonstrate and then direct them. You are the puppet master of your character. So say again, you are the puppet master of your character. So your name is a brand now. Your name is a corporation or a company. You have to be the worker for your company now and learn how to make your brand grow and operate as bookkeepers until you know how to find the right people to do it for you. So, private bank. You're operating from a private bank. This is why it's important to have an LLC or a holding company, just like the United States is a holding company. First Bankers and Trust, SunTrust Bank. I mean, we can go on and on when it comes to banks and trust, okay? When you actually get a bank account, you're making them the trustee over your funds, all right? So the private bank, your private bank, you're operating as a private bank and substitute IRS W-8 bin form. And this is the affidavit, your certificate of foreign status as a private beneficial owner, a fiduciary, a public trustee, an attorney in fact, over and for the United States corporate taxing, withholding, and settlements. These are all different forms of status. I need people to get off the 9(8) trust, get off of that shit. Don't worry about a 9(8) trust right now. If you're over here in the United States corporation, if you're on here, we'll discuss that from the record, you're on the Republic soil, you're foreign to the corporation, period. They're foreign to your corporation. They operate in Washington, D.C. Anything outside of D.C. is foreign to their corporation. So, certificate of foreign status. You enter their corporation when you utilize you say you're a person, you say you're a resident. You follow me? We're on and near the land. We're in care of the land, the Republic of the land, all right? The Iowa Republic is foreign to the United States Corporation. Missouri Republic, California Republic, Arizona Republic. Let me know that this is making sense. Put that it's making sense. Yes. Maramunchi says 10 miles square is D.C. Islam, guys. That's what it is. Now, private equity says it's making sense. I included a couple different forms, affidavits. Go through the affidavit when you're doing your EIN. You need to understand your name. When you're using your name, it was turned into a corporation. It's a private bank. You're operating as a trustee. They're reaping the benefits until you learn the game. When you start learning the game, then you can reclaim your labor and start to reclaim your benefits. Now, an important part is attorney in fact. Attorney in fact. That's one important status correction right there. Everybody says it's making sense. I appreciate Michael, Nicole, Sammy, AZ, Russ. So, anytime you sign something, you're assigning them your attorney in fact. And then they're also operating as a public trustee. These are different shoes that need to be filled. This is why it takes multiple people with their government. But you're going to, starting off, you're going to have to learn all these different positions, right? You're going to have to learn all these different positions. Public trustee, fiduciary, private beneficial owner, withholding and settlement. And if you don't know how to fill these shoes, you're going to have to learn how to appoint people and then direct them regardless on how to do these things, right? Now, when we're operating on the private side, we always say we're not incorporated. We're operating from the private trust sector part. Because when you operate on the public side, anyways, you're selling all beneficial interests to your private trust that you actually create. And he says, Islam more. Now, anytime you're dealing with somebody else, you're going to call them a foreign financial institution regardless. And you'll be the individual banker, fiduciary, attorney in fact of this private bank. And this private bank is going to be a non-resident. And you'll operate as an employee of as a non-resident employee of any commercial corporation, but as a private domicile of the United States of America protected by treaty, the Declaration of Independence as a tax-exempt freed man or freed woman of age. The public trustee, notional, principal, contracts. The principal is always the head in charge, all right? The principal can revoke any attorney in fact at any given time because they are the principal, okay? They are the principal. When doing this, you should have multiple EINs, okay? Now, when I'm operating from a trust private bank, I'm operating from an irrevocable trust EIN number for the record. Since y'all in the class, y'all pay for this private knowledge. Anytime you're dealing with a bank, you're going to be dealing from a trust. The trust is the bank. Now, there is times where there's banks that are LLCs, but they're not going to be taxed as such, okay? Never going to be taxed as an LLC if you're a bank, all right? The bank is going to be a trust, okay? That's why I need to. I hope that makes sense. When you're on the public side, EIN needs to be a trust if you're operating from a bank standpoint. I am the individual banker, fiduciary over your all capitalized name accounts held as an offshore account. I'm also the foreign beneficial owner, foreign fiduciary over all the credits of this account. This individual banker, fiduciary, and attorney in fact is not a U.S. public corporate person or employee. Let me zoom in for y'all, man. I don't know what's coming. Let me zoom in. The exemption status and credits to which the form relates or mortgage rents due from the unjury by the commercial corporations, including United States and states or corporations. Based upon my status as an individual banker of a private bank in America, I stand as public trustee in res over all United States in the state or whatever state you're in, and public commercial beneficial bond usage corporations. All bond transactions and exchanges are the private property of this exempt public trustee as defined by trust law. Furthermore, I authorize this form to be provided to any withholding agent. Again, furthermore, I authorize this form to be provided to any withholding agent. So I said, understand the word agency. Agent and agency. These are going to be the powers of attorneys. Anytime you see the word agent or agency, they're acting on behalf as such as the power of attorney. Okay? All an attorney is the agent for a corporation. So furthermore, I authorize this form to provide to any withholding agent that has control, receipt, or custody of the bonds or income of which I am as a foreign fiduciary, individual banker, trustee, and a private, for any withholding agent that can disburse or make payment of the credits of which I am as a foreign fiduciary, individual banker, trustee, and a private entitled to. The U.S. Treasury nor the Internal Revenue Service do not require your consent to any provisions of this document, other than the certification required establishing my status as a non-U.S. corporate person and that the income from which the form is provided is effectively connected with the conduct of a private trade or business within the United States of America. Sign and seal. When you sign and seal it, you're acting in capacity as an individual banker of a private bank. No, you would not call this your estate. This would be your private bank. There's a difference. There's a difference between your estate and your bank. Your estate and bank are two different things. Yes, you send this to the IRS. This is the IRS documents. If you're working for somebody, you send it to them. Listen, man, this is the advanced status correction class. I need you to understand that. You should already know how to update your status correctly. These are just different forms of status correction. Follow me? You send this on anybody who's making a claim against you. But starting off, if you were listening at the beginning of class, I'm telling you why we deal with the IRS starting off. Because starting off, everything starts with the court. Everything deals with the court. All debt owed to the United States, everything is going to be going back to court when they try to put you in jail. This is why you got to learn. Listen, they can take your property away. If the IRS comes after you, what can they do? They can put you in jail or take your property away, right? That's it, right? So you got to learn who to put these on file with. Who can put you in jail? It's going to be the courts. So you're going to update your status with the right courts, district courts, chief judge. Do it with the state courts. Do it with the municipal courts. Do it with the county deeds office of your county, because that's where the sheriffs uphold their information. Everything goes with the sheriff. If all the information is put on the county deeds office record, this is where the sheriff gets their information. Property, county deeds office. The sheriff can't even show up. They go on what's on the records. What's on the records? Contracts with the government. What's on the records? Does it make sense? Amy says, got it. No, I'm not ready to go over that shit yet. Not ready to go over that shit yet. We're going over regular status correction starting off. This is why I don't want to get to the advanced shit. Because listen, like I said, to be honest, if you was in a real advanced status correction, you wouldn't need me, bro, because you'd already be making that bank. You'd be making that bank already. We'd be partners. You follow me? The code says it's making sense. So look, if you have a job, W-A-N, this, you know, if you was, somebody said they try to use a form W-T, You know, I'm going to show y'all this again. A Form W-4T. This is the determination. Because you have to understand, right? You have to understand that the W-4, when you fill this out, this is making a status. It's a voluntary withholding agreement. That's what a W-4 is. You're voluntarily allowing them to be giving people, corporations, power to pull from your trust. You're gifting them part of your labor. That's what you're doing with a W-4, and it's going to the IMF families. So a W-4T, you would do something similar, but I like the W-8 bin, and then you just make sure you give them an affidavit. That's for everything. That's with everything. Now I'm gonna go to another document. One of my favorites, right? One of my favorites. So we got tax exempt. That's the status, right? Being tax exempt. You just gotta make sure you put the right definitions in there. Affidavit of tax exempt foreign status. You let them know, listen, for the purposes of this affidavit, the term United States and U.S. mean only the federal legislative democracy of the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. Listen, this is it right here. That's who the United States Corporation is. Now, this is how you pull out the jurisdiction. I wasn't born or nationalized in the United States nor subject to its jurisdiction. I'm not a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. Therefore, I'm an alien with respect to the United States. I'm not a resident of the United States. It's all the same, man. You got to understand this is what's making you. This is what puts you under the jurisdiction. I am a non-resident alien. I am not, never have been, as described, a U.S. person. I'm not a taxpayer. Now, when you state these, they have to prove it now. They have to prove that you are. This is why you have to put stuff on the record. Non-resident alien. Non-resident alien. That is a status. Non-resident alien. Okay? That is a status. You know? I'm not required by law to obtain a U.S. taxpayer identification number or social security number because of my exemption. Now, go through that, man. Because I can do a whole class just on that right there. Just on that document right there. Non-taxpayer, right? Little sovereign immunity right there. I'm going to go with my favorite, though, right here. Listen, these are all different status correction documents, okay? These are all different status correction documents. These are all status correction documents, okay? Because attention, all corporate agencies. Anybody you got beef with, right? Affidavit of status as a secured party and creditor. And this affidavit right here makes you the secured party and creditor. You can put this on with court cases. You can put this on with the county deeds office. Just label it as an exhibit. They have to file this for you. That's one of my favorites. This is with court. I need you to understand the different roles when dealing with court. We'll go over this later too. I've already went over like yesterday why it's important to rescind all your signatures. We just went over that. Rescind everything. Rescind everything. You have so many contracts that you don't even know about. Now, this is a declaration of status and oath of allegiance. This is when you make some people make an oath of allegiance with their state and become a state national, all right? This is making an allegiance with the United States, becoming a friend of the United States but you're being part of the de jure American Republic. You're a free inhabitant. This is what I want to go over. So, political status. Once you get your political status on the record, you can start dealing with these corporations. You can send them proof of your existence, and then you'll deal with the IRS. But we always deny them their corporate denial. We'll deny them. The word person is according. So check this out. We'll start from the beginning. With the knowledge of the fact that assumption and presumption may prevail unless refuted or explicitly denied, this affiant plainly states that the affiant is in no way to be considered termed as or thought as a person, legal entity, legal fiction, fictional character, or corporation of any form, with the knowledge that all such entities are not living, breathing, sentient men or women. Therefore, affiant hereby makes express an explicit claim in affirmation to the living, whose creator is affiant's heavenly Father, and express an explicit claim that affiant is not a person or any other form of corporation. The word person is according to several references in 22 U.S.C. section 1621, definition, statute for the purposes of the subchapter. A, the term person shall include an individual, partnership, corporation, or the government of the United States. And this is just breaking down different like presumptions of law, but we're denying corporate existence. We're denying that the corporation exists. And this just brings this back to common law. All right, this is another form of status correction. I need y'all to understand. So once you start understanding the different things, then you can start learning how to apply them to court, apply them to debt, okay? Apply them to different things, and then get that diplomatic immunity, right? With just paperwork and knowing who you are. So I need you to understand this. You are considered surety for this business, all right? You're deemed to create a bond with your Heavenly Father, your Creator, all right? Your Heavenly Mother or Father, your Creator. You're deemed to have created a bond with them. It's called a covenant. And then the so-called government is here to try to throw you off track, I would say. Like, they got your goal, but you can tell them to do bad things to you, or you can tell them to do good things to you. And you gotta learn how to prosperity is your birthright. You was born with prosperity and abundance, and if you don't learn about it, the government's here to take it from you. You are international based upon your foreign certificate of different multiple personality identities, even though the same name is used. Organization, a corporation, government, or governmental subdivision or agency, business trust, estate trust, partnership, or association. Two or more persons having a joint or common interest, or any other legal or commercial entity under UCC 1201, Section 28. This is international law. International Organization Immunities Act, a federal statute pertaining to the status of international organizations in reference to their capacity as parties under 22 U.S.C. 2AAA. 28 U.S.C. 2AA, privileges, exemptions, and immunities of international organizations. International organizations shall enjoy the status, immunities, exemptions, and privileges set forth in this section as follows. International organizations shall, to the extent consistent with the instruments creating them, possess the capacity, local, state, federal, and church as foreign international certificates of international identity and creation, to contract, to acquire, and dispose of real and personal property, to institute legal proceedings. Write that down, man. That is deep, though. That is deep if you understand it. International organizations, their property and their assets, wherever located and by whomever held, shall enjoy the same immunity from suit in every form of judicial process and is enjoyed by foreign governments, except to the extent that such organizations may express waive their immunity for the purpose of any proceedings or by the terms of any contract. Property and assets of international organizations, wherever located by whomever held, shall be immune from search unless such immunity be expressly waived from confiscation. The archives in international organizations shall be inviolable. Insofar as concerns customs duties and internal revenue taxes imposed upon or by reason of importation and the procedures in connection therewith, the registration of foreign agents, and the treatment of official communications or privileges, exemptions, and immunities to which international organizations shall be entitled shall be those recorded under similar circumstances to foreign governments. Now, you are an international organization based upon your foreign certificates of different multi-personal identities. So you need to understand that. They're set up in different places. So, I mean, go over this stuff, man. I'm going to end it right here. I got stuff on sovereign immunity. It breaks down the codes and statute responses to sovereign immunity. And as time goes on, I'm going to show you. You know, check out the information from yesterday, the basic status correction classes. I'm going to go over where we send all these documents, okay? Whether you're dealing with, because it just depends on what you're dealing with. You're dealing with different issues. So I'm going to go over these different issues, whether it's court issues, whether it's tax issues, whether it's debt. I'm going to go over these one by one, all right, as time goes on. And then we'll go over the trust, and we'll go over how to fund the trust, different places you can do that at, and even how to operate from a public trust. That's what we have in store for the next couple of months for you guys. Yes, last night's class is recorded. Like, if you didn't get access to it, view the link. Like I said, view the link in the class. I'm going to send it to y'all again. Y'all hard-headed. Y'all don't listen, man. Look, man, if you didn't get last night's class, respond to the email that you got, how you joined this class, okay? Respond to the email, hey, I need access to last night's class, and I'll just copy and paste your email, all right? Share, simple as that. If you need access to this class and you don't have it by noon tomorrow, respond to this class and like, hey, I need the advanced status class. Just put the dates, you know, but I'm making it where, hey, you got access to this link, you got access to all the classes. That's what I got for you guys today. Much peace and love. I appreciate y'all. I hope that all this stuff is making sense for y'all, because that's what is my job to do. So, like I said, further on, even at the end of the basics, I'm going to be touching this too. Trust corporations, okay? We're going to learn how to build your trust, and then create a trust corporation and build business credit, right? Then we'll learn how to protect assets. Protect your assets with the trust. Then we'll learn how to build the business credit. We'll learn how to create shares. We'll learn how to create stocks. We'll learn how to create our own corporate bonds with our name, our corporate name, or a new government that we wish to create. You follow me? So I was screen sharing this. I am recording it. I'm going to send y'all the recording. It'll be uploaded into Google Drive, and I'll send y'all access to everything. But yes, this is the stuff that we're learning. But you need to understand your first bond, your first contract, and your first bond is with your higher power. So you need to figure out what your true life purpose is. What is it you're here to do? Because when you start working with me, I'm here to bring out your life purpose, and then you'll learn how to get compensated off what you're already supposed to be enjoying doing in the first place. Get paid for what you love to do. It's okay to get paid. Okay? It's okay to get paid. How else are you going to care for your family? How else are you going to provide for yourself? How else are you going to hand down your legacy? How else are you going to create for the future or for your future generations to come if you're not generating an income? So, your name is a business. Your name is a business. I'm going to show you how to create a holding company. And then keep it out the public. Because once you start acquiring wealth, then you might be open to lawsuits. So you don't even want your name on the public for real. Be protected with trust. Trust is the private side. The public side is the LLCs and the corporations, okay? But starting off, your name is a business. So you need to learn how to make your name the business first. Post there, preach. Peace and love. Yes. Yes, you can use them documents. Yes, do whatever you want with them. They're your documents. Gregory tell us, let's get it. Kim says, this is so educational, far better than any university I've ever attended. Blessings, brother, keeping you covered. We appreciate it. I appreciate you, Kim. Russ, excellent session, bro. I appreciate you. Peace and love. Someone else said, this class is fire tonight. I appreciate you, man. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm supposed to do. Now, there's so many things. I'm gonna teach y'all how to do the business plans, grants. There's so many different things to go once you start creating your business. I appreciate y'all too, man. When you're creating your business, so many things to do. Teach you how to talk to these lenders. Teach you how to talk to the banks. Create programs. You're gonna have to visualize for the future. So the next thing you need to start thinking about is smart cities and how your business can help within smart cities, okay? Because this is what they're doing. They're trying to get rid of everything and create new smart cities. And you're going to have to be able to accept Bitcoin and all types of different stuff, right? Because everything is going to be here and now type stuff. No more debts, all right? And I'm going to go deeper on one of my YouTube lives, man, next week on some stuff, man. But this is the class. Much peace and love. I appreciate y'all for showing up with me. Happy holiday. It's Friday. Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love to everybody else, man. Shalom to the Israelites, man. I love y'all. I do this for y'all. At the same time, tomorrow, we're going to go over 1099 OIDs tomorrow. And then Sunday, we will be doing, child support and family law. This is what we're going to be going over because that's what the people are requesting. Much peace and love. Prosperity is your birthright. Go to MalikKalam.com, DrKalam.com. King Islam. Happy Holy Day. Peace and love, y'all.